Hello everyone, it's Katia with Lunar Creations. So I had a lot of requests to do a tutorial on these little charms that are on my new mix and match tutorial, and also this charm right here. Kind of lift it up so you can see it a bit better. Okay, so in this video I am going to show you how to make those two charms. Alright, materials are very minimal. I am using, it's just a really simple craft wire, silver filled wire. So I've got some 20 gauge and some 26 gauge. Okay, so you can also use 18 and 24. It's not vital what kind, as long as you've got one that's quite a bit thicker than the other. And then for pliers, your snips and some round nose are very important, and some needle nose, and then I've got some flat nose, is that what they're called? I'm not even sure if that's what they're called, but some flat nose as well. And I mean, you don't have to go out, and if you're just doing this as a hobby, you don't have to go out and splurge on really expensive pliers. Some of the pliers, I know the snips and everything are even sold at the dollar store, so it's not a super big, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Alright, so let's start with the with this one on the inside here. So you're going to cut two pieces of the 20 gauge or 18 gauge, whatever it is that you're using. We're going to cut them about that long. So what is that? About 10-12 inches. I never measure anything, that's why I haven't done, so I mean I've got, yeah, so around somewhere between 10 and 12 inches. I'm really bad in my jewelry, that's why I haven't really done a lot of jewelry tutorials, is that with all the pieces that I've made, I just wing it. I never measure anything. I'm really bad for that, so I'm going to try to start measuring things and being a little bit more precise so I can give you an actual detailed step-by-step tutorial on things. That's my new game plan. Alright, so now we need a fairly long piece of the 26 gauge wire. I usually just I work with like an arm length, like I kind of put it along my arm and work with a length like that. I find that works the best. Alright, so we're going to kind of smooth out the wires, kind of straighten them out as much as you can just with your fingers. Then we're going to take the 26 gauge wire, we're going to leave a little bit of a tail, and we're going to wrap it around one of the wires 3 times. Okay? And then coming from underneath, we're going to grab the other 20 gauge wire. We're going to put it over top of the thin wire and beside the other one. And then we're going to wrap around both of them 3 times. Okay, and kind of use your nail to just kind of push them and just make sure that they are really tight together. Okay, and now we're going to just go around that first wire again. So we're going to go up in between the 2 wires, and we're going to wrap 3 times around that first wire again. So up in between, and push it tight. And then one more time up in between the 2 wires and push it tight. And then we're going to go around both of the wires again. So it's like a 3-3 weave. 3 times around one wire, 3 times around both. And then up into the, in between the two of them again. Kind of pushing as we go. And then around both of them. And try to make sure that your wires don't overlap. You want to make sure that the, oh, this camera is not very good at doing very close-ups. So try to make sure that the wires sit beside each other and not overlapping, not on top of each other. So we're just going to keep doing this for quite a while. Pushing them in as we go. If you don't have nails or don't want to use your nails to push, you can use a set of pliers to kind of push things close. Okay, so 3 around both and 3 around just the one. Now, I'm not sure how many rotations I did. I kind of go until you've got about that much. So keep going until you have, I mean, around at least 4 inches or so. I mean, you can go, thing is you can make this your own and you can make the charm as big as you so desire. And when I'm going through the 2 wires, I kind of like bring it up first and then bring it down. Like I'm trying to maneuver it so it's like pulling way over here and then pulling down. It just kind of creates a nicer loop around, I suppose. And if you wanted to make it a little bit different, you could do 4 times around each instead of 3. There's a lot of really cool weaves out there. It would be great to start teaching you some of the weaves. This is a really simple one. Some of them get a little bit more elaborate. I should maybe do a video showing you some of my jewelry, actually. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this until we're at around 4 inches or so. And then I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, so I just wanted to show you, if you didn't have enough of the thin wire, how to add another wire. So I'm at about 3 inches, but I still want another inch of this weave, and I didn't cut quite enough wire. So always end on a single wire weave. So the wire will stay wrapped tighter if it's just on one wire. So do a final weave on the one wire, snip the wrapping wire as close as possible to the end and just kind of pinch that little nub a little bit so it's right against the wire, so it's not poking out. I don't know if it's you're going to be able to see that. Just make sure there's no pokey bit that's going to hurt you. And then take your next wire and wrap it. So put it in between the two wires, have a little tail there, and wrap it around the single wire just once. Then go around both of the wires 3 times. So you're gonna have one extra weave in there, but you're barely gonna be able to tell. And then continue your weave as normal until you have a few of the weaves done, and then you can cut off that tail. Don't kind of use it to hold on to for now until you've got a few of the weaves done. And keep pushing it in to make sure it's all nice and tight. The tighter the weave, the better it will look. So I'm just going to finish up 1 more inch of this weave, and then we can turn it into a swirly thing. Swirly charm. And if you happen to accidentally get some wires twisted or something, try to unweave it really carefully, because once the wire has been bent, it's really hard to unbend it. So be really careful with it so you don't break your wire. Do it really gently if you have to unweave something. Alright, should be almost to the 4-inch mark. Just a couple more weaves. Okay, let's see where I'm at. Oh yeah, I'm past 4 now. Okay, perfect. So we can stop. So I'm just going to compress everything, make sure everything's nice and tight. Alright, so now we've got 2 tails here, one here and one here, so we can get rid of those. So snip it as close as you can to the base wires, the 20 gauge, and then just take a set of pliers and kind of squeeze that down. Do the same with this one over here. Okay, so you should have something that looks like that. Alright, so now we're going to snip the wires at the top, leaving about around a finger's length of space. And I guess it depends on your finger. Okay, and then we're going to take our round nose pliers and holding the wires together in the round nose, we're just going to make a loop. This is what your brad is going to attach the charm to the paper with. Okay, so I've kind of like looped it over and then just kind of like used my nail as leverage and just pushed it, pushed it back a bit, so you've just got a loop on the end of the 2 wires. It looks like that. So that's where the brad's gonna go. Put your pliers back in that loop, and we're slowly going to like maneuver. So I keep getting out of frame. Sorry, I'm trying to put it close to my face so I can see. So twist it in a circle. When you get to that point and you can't twist anymore, take your pliers out, readjust them, and twist again. You can also use your fingers. So now that I've got this loop, I'm going to hold it with my fingers and kind of just maneuver it into a little bit of the S shape that I want. And now I'm going to go down here and cut again around somewhere around 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing as we did at the top, but leave your extra 26 gauge because we're going to add a little bead on there. Take your round nose again and hold both of the 20 gauge wires right at the end. And now we're going to swirl in the opposite direction that you did at the top. And just keep swirling it, try and keep the wires together. And then when it gets to that point, this is where I like to just use my fingers to do it. So swirling this way at the top and this way at the bottom until you get that shape, and kind of, it's very malleable, so kind of just maneuver it however it is you would like, how tight you would like the circles. And alright, so this one down at the bottom, we want to make sure that there is enough room for the chain to get in through here. So I'm just going to take my pliers and move this whole part a little bit tighter in. Okay, and now I'm going to get a little bead. It can be any bead that you like. I'm going to use a blue one this time. And thread the bead onto your 26 gauge wire. And then kind of maneuver it so that it's sitting right on those two little swirly circles that you made with the ends of the wire. And we're just going to just attach it to the circles themselves. So I've just threaded it in behind the two circles, and then I'm just going to come up through the middle of the circles. So when I say circles, I'm just meaning the ends of the wire that we just curled. So I'm just going to do that a couple times just to secure that bead. So I'm going right here in between the two little loops and the weave itself. And then up through the center of the ends of the wire. Okay, so now just takes a couple and then your bead is secure. Now up here though, we don't want this is where the brad's going to go, but we don't want this being pulled out of shape. So we kind of want to have this wired together right here. So a couple choices. You can A, wrap your weaving wire just loosely all the way back up to here, or you can make sure that this is really secure here and then cut it, and we'll use the same wire at the top, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to bring it in one more time. I'm just going to make sure that this is really secure on there. So bringing it in between the ends of the wire and the weave itself. And this is the last. Just doing it one more time. And that should be good. Now I can trim that weaving wire. And pinch that down a little bit so that it doesn't catch on anything. And now use that bit of wire that you just cut off, and you can either add another bead in between. Like you can add another bead right here in between the two bits, or you can just kind of attach these two. So I've got the wire is in the loop here, and I'm just going to weave it a couple times so that it's bringing the loop kind of closed so that it won't expand and get all funky and out of shape. Okay, so we wrapped it around a couple times. Now we need to wrap it around a smaller bit of wire to secure it. So I'm going to try to wrap it around just these outside two wires now. If you can't get into just one single wire, then 2 wires is all right. Just the least amount as possible. Least amount of wires. Definitely I made this one slightly bigger than the one in the book, but alright, and now we're just going to cut off these extra wires and we're good to go. And there we go. So now again, pinch those down, those little ends. Pull them as tight as you can. Alright, so there you have it, and then the brad goes in that little hole there. So I made it a tiny bit, I did make it a tiny bit bigger, but that's why I said I never measure anything. I think I just have it just a slightly different shape too. So there we go. So that's the first one. Now I'll show you how to do these ones. So we'll get our little scrap bits of wire out of the way here. So again, starting with about, I had 10 inches in my brain, so I wonder if this was the one where it was 10 inches. So I don't think we needed that much for that other one. So we're going to cut 3 of the base wires, the 20 gauge, the same length. Alright, so this one's really easy. We're literally just going to braid it. So, I mean, you can use a little bit of tape at the end of your wires to kind of hold them together while you braid. And so it's literally The first couple weaves look a little bit wonky, but then it gets better. So we're taking the left one over top of the center, the right one over top of that left. So we're basically just going from the right to the left and going over this, whatever the center wire is, right? I'm sure most people know how to braid. And because it's wire, it's not going to move like hair does. So you have to kind of exaggerate the movement a little bit. I like to hold the center as I'm doing it and pull the outside wire over top like that. So the left over the center and the right over the center, and kind of getting something that looks like that. So left over center, and try to, as you're going, just try and keep it uniform. That's what makes the best looking braid, is if you're getting all the bits as uniform as possible. That's why I like to hold the center of it, kind of adjust as you go. It's going to be a pretty organic looking thing. It's never exactly, braiding wire is never exactly like braiding hair, so. Okay, so keep going until you've got the full 10 inches woven. All right, fabulous. And then I'm literally just going to cut this right in half to make two of these. So kind of just go, roughly in the middle. And then I'm going to maneuver it just with my hands into a circular kind of shape. Something like that. And then I'm going to wrap the three ends right here. I'm going to wrap them in behind these wires, and then take your pliers. Actually, a needle on those would be better for this. Take your pliers and kind of pull them further around so they're making a full rotation of these wires here. If they're quite long, you can trim them off. And we're just going to push these, like pinch them as close as you can onto these wires. Alright, so you've got a hoop now with the ends of this side wrapped around these wires here. And then we're going to remove this tape. Okay, so with the three ends that you have left here, so you're going to take there we go, there's the center one. So kind of split them apart, and you're going to take the center one and take your round nose pliers and just create a hoop with it. You probably don't need this much, actually. Oh, you can just do it like this and swirl it down into a hoop. So it doesn't actually need to be two layers. Oh, geez, Katya, I'm off camera again. I'm so sorry. So just using your round nose pliers to swirl it into a hoop. And that's what the jump ring will attach to. And then these two wires you are going to turn into swirly bits. Swirly bits? I don't know technical terms. So the last two wires are going to form these little swirly bits, and the first wire formed this hoop. Okay? So I'm going to start with my needle nose pliers, and I'm going to grab the very tip, and I'm going to turn it into a tiny little hook almost. And then keep rotating. Keep maneuver your pliers, like you go one rotation and then maneuver them again into a better holding position. And then when you've got a couple rotations, then you can hold the loop flat-wise and continue with the rotation until you have one of the swirls. And then we're going to do the same with the other side. Just rotating the pliers, rotating your whole hand to create a swirl. Okay, now we just need a little bit of 26 gauge wire. Oh, where's my end? Okay, you don't need very much, just a little bit, because it's just to attach the bead. So you can use a round bead. I'm using kind of a teardrop shape, and just put the wire through the holes of your bead to the center and place it where you would like it to be in your charm, and then we're just going to wrap these wires around each side a couple times, and that's all there is to it. So I'm just kind of pushing the 26 gauge wire up in between a couple of the weaves of the braid, so trying to get it around just one of the braid wires. So I'm going to wrap each side 3 or 4 times. So there's one side, and then the other side. Oh, my eyes are getting bad. I'm having a hard time seeing this. Alright, so just pushing it through the braid. Alright, and there we go. Now we just have to trim off our end wires a bit and push down on those wires just to make sure that they are The ends are all tickety-boo and in place. And there you go. There is your charm. I think we got that one. That one's pretty close to exactly what is on the album itself. So that's where the 10 inches in my brain came from. All right, so there you go. That is the two different, oh, I mean, you have this other part of the braid, but you just literally do the exact same thing. I don't think you need to have me do it again. You can just rewind that part of the video and rewatch it. So, all right. So there are those two simple charms. I'm going to try and start incorporating more of these into my albums, and maybe start doing some actual jewelry tutorials, because I mean, I haven't done it for a while, but I used to. That's how my business actually got started, was doing jewelry. So I'd like to start doing more again. So we'll see how we go. Oh yeah, I said I was going, didn't I? Just kidding. Should I just finish this one with you guys? Oh, I mean, if I'm gonna finish it, I guess I should probably do it on camera, right? Jeez. I'm so used to having the jewelry right up to my face that I have a hard time remembering that it needs to be way out in front of me so the camera can see it. Yeah, there's your second one. You just need to add the bead in the center. Amazing. All right, folks, well, that is that, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and let me know if there's anything I can do to make it better, or if you'd like to see any more of these. And yeah, I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you again soon. Lots of love. Bye.